Hello and welcome to another video on the Grimwood Watch Modern channel, and today I have this lovely blue Tudor Black Bay in front of us here. Now, I did do a video initially on this, getting all the parts together and stuff, because this is effectively a Frankinwatch. The case is original, so is the dial. However, the majority of other parts I have had to source from aftermarket people. Basically, I know a guy who I'm going to call Frank, who basically traded me the original case and bits for some SKX parts. He said he couldn't use the parts because they weren't 100% what he liked. He basically deals in refurbing and kind of doing up luxury watches, and he just said for his clientele these weren't good enough. And I've been talking to him for years now, and he just says, look, I know you've got an ETA 28-24 movement here. If you want, do you want the parts for a watch? And he didn't tell us what they were, but when they came through the door I was absolutely ecstatic to see what they were. And I've also, for the case, I do actually have the original Tudor warranty card for it, but that was about it. There is a story behind why this watch was parted out and stuff like that, but I'm not going to get into that. So that's a bit of the background for this video. However, we're now going to get straight into the actual build process and show you what I ended up with. Hello and welcome to another video on the Grimwood Watch Modern channel, and today I have got my Calvin Klein in front of us, as you can see. Now, ignore the bits of manky masking tape on my workbench as well. This is just so I know the camera's actually facing the way I want and I'm in view. Now, what I'm going to be doing today is I'm going to be taking the Calvin Klein apart. Don't get me wrong, it is a good watch for the money. However, I just couldn't get away with the branding, and I'm going to be putting the ETA 28-24 movement into the Black Bay case I've got here, the Tudor Black Bay case that my mate Frank got me. And I'm going to make a Tudor Frankinwatch, which in all honesty I know a lot of people are going to hate, but the case is original. A few bits on that are a bit you know, aftermarket, but I don't care. It's my watch, I'm not going to sell it, I'm going to be happy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to crack on, dismantle this watch and also build up the Black Bay, and I'm going to basically put my commentary over the top after I've done it, because I'm terrible at talking while I'm doing work, so we'll do that in retrospect. So with any further ado, let's crack on, get the movement out of this watch and get the Black Bay built. So let's continue. So first things first, I have to dismantle the Calvin Klein. So firstly, bracelet comes off with a spring bar removal tool, which gives us access to the case back, which is a push case back on this watch. I was dreading it, however it did come off very easily with my case back removal tool, which I've got a little Swiss Army kind of version one there. Very nice tool if you can get your hands on. Also good for removing bezels. So with that, I put on my gloves to stop any of my oily finger marks getting put on any part of this watch, and I start dismantling the Calvin Klein. Firstly, case back comes off with the seal, just put that all to one side. I then go about taking the crown out, and then set about removing the little tabs at the end of the movement holder, which hold the whole kind of movement dial assembly in place. There's a lot of real estate being taken up by the movement holder of this. It's a big case for such a small movement. I think it's like 46mm case, and the movement itself is only 26mm, so there is a lot of space to take up in this case. So with that all done, it should just be a case of tip it out, but as you can see, the movement stays fast. So I'll give it a little twiddle technique there just to, you know, free it up a bit. Once I do that, the movement and dial just drop out like that. Crown goes back in so I can move the hands into the same position. I then put my little bit of thick paper on, hand removal tool, whoop, hands are off, there you go, put into one side of the box. Next, removal of the dial. Now on these ETAs, the actual dial is held in by two little levers which hold the pins in place. It's such a simple yet sophisticated mechanism. I absolutely love it. You know, most of the cheap watches, it's just a press fit into a plastic movement holder, so it is a breath of fresh air working on one of these kind of more upmarket movements. As you can see, I'm just reassembling the Calvin Klein case for a later date. I do leave the crown out though, because I do need the stem for this build, and also need to set the hands further on in the build. So I'm just getting the Black Bay parts all set aside here. As you can see, I've got the movement holder there, which I have modified myself from a counterfeit Tudor watch. I know, but it was one of the cheaper, more easier parts to get a hold of, and with a Dremel, just dremeled it down a bit, fitting the case absolutely lovely. As you can see, I'm just getting sorted to actually fit the Black Bay dial. Yet again, place the dial onto the movement, making sure it's the right way around, which initially I didn't. You will notice this is 180 degrees out. I noticed at the point of putting the hands on and the crown was in the wrong position that it was wrong, but I did go over redo it, but I'm not going to bore you with that video again, because it's basically exactly what I'm doing here. So with the dial in place, I just reinsert the levers, to actually hold on to the pins of the dial, and the dial is now fixed to the actual movement. Next step is to actually put the movement holder on. So I'll just get everything right in the right place there. I've initially, as you can see, got the movement holder upside down. I place it the right way up, get the actual crown hole there lined up with the little cutout for that, and I then put the 2 screws in which hold the actual movement holder to the dial. And like I say, it is simple. It's such a simple way of doing it, but like I say, it just gives a little bit more kind of precision to the whole mechanism instead of just kind of putting it into a plastic movement holder. It is very nice to do. With that done, I then decided to remove the Calvin Klein rotor. Now, Frank was very kind enough to supply a Tudor rotor which fits onto these 28-24 movements. So Calvin Klein rotor comes off, Tudor rotor goes in. Very, very nice. This is something I will only know is in the watch, but it just bugged me having something of Calvin Klein in the watch, so it did finish the project off very, very nicely. So with all that done, I just give a quick blow of me puff puff just to kind of get any dust out of there. And the next step I'm going to do is install the hands. Now my hand tool is actually over on my workbench, so you don't see that part of the process. I just kind of initially test fit one of the hands on just to check, see if it all lines up and stuff. I think I actually used one of the Tudor hands, or one of the actual Calvin Klein hands there, just to check everything actually matched up. As you can see now, the hands are all installed and the crown's in the right position. Everything is good to go, and as you can see, the movement is ticking away merrily there as well. So with all that done, I take the crown back out because I don't need that at this moment in time, and I'm now going to test fit the case onto the movement, which, like I say, the case itself is original, but the bezel insert, the crystal and some other parts are not. So like I say, it is a Frankinwatch in the whole terms of the word, but you know, I'm not going to be selling it, and I want one of these ETA black watches on my wrist anyway, so it is a nice thing to do. So with all that done, movement goes in. I then test fit the crown. Now the crown itself, as you can see there, the stem is too big. The actual crown is miles away from the case. So what I will do is cut that down to size. I'm just fitting the actual movement into the case properly so it doesn't wiggle around. At this point I'm getting the kind of how much I need to take off the stem by eye, so I'm quite good at this now. So you basically press it in a few times, see how much the actual crown depresses. As you can see, I'm just doing a quick measurement with my little screwdriver. I've cut that amount off. I've reinstalled the crown now, bit of Loctite on just to keep it on, and I put it back in the case and see if it all fits and actually does get in contact with the threads. As you can see there, I was quite proud of this. I only took one go of actually getting it all in line and actually to the right degree of pop, as I called how much the crown actually pops out when it's disengaged the threads. Quick show the movement there with the Tudor rotor on, and now the case back goes on, and that is pretty much it. The build is pretty much complete. So do a quick test, move the hands around, make sure nothing contacts anything, wind it all back together, make sure the case back is tightish on, and then yeah, that's basically it. My Black Bay blue build completely done. And you know what? It's an absolutely lovely watch. And there we are. The Tudor Black Bay build is finished. And do you know what? I am absolutely over the moon. Don't get me wrong, there was a few little hiccups here and there, such as the second hand on the Calvin Klein actually left its centre kind of pinion in. So I had to remove that with a pair of pliers. But once that was done, the second hand went on quite nicely. I also noticed at that point I had actually mounted the dial upside down. No mistake, but you know, it's all together now. And like I say, it does look absolutely phenomenal, and I know it's got some aftermarket parts on, but the case itself is Tudor, and so is the dial. And do you know what? I am going to wear this watch with pride. So without further ado, what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to put these spring bars on, which are actually off the Calvin Klein watch, and I'm going to stick it on this lovely NATO strap which I have here. So if you give us 2 seconds, I'll get it on this strap and I'll show you how it looks. And here we have it, the Tudor Black Bay Frankinwatch. Yes, I know it's a mix of original parts and aftermarket, but do you know what? I am not selling this anytime soon. I absolutely love it, and do you know what? It was a hell of a lot cheaper than buying a brand new one. So thanks, Frank, for sending over these parts. I know there's a few little flaws here and there, but do you know what? It's part of the character, and I am not going to mind it. And on my 6 3/4 inch wrists matched to this lovely French NATO strap, as you can see, they're very Tudor-esque. It's spot on. The strap is a bit smaller than the 22mm than it is advertised though, but hey ho, it is very comfy to wear. So I think what I'll do now is I'm going to wear it for a couple of days, and I'm going to get back to you with a final conclusion of this build. But you know what? yeah, I absolutely love this piece, so yeah, see you in a second. And there you have it, my Tudor Black Bay for basically 250 quid, which is around about the equivalent of the parts that I sent to Frank. Now, the build went together quite well. Like I say, there's a few modified parts, such as the movement tool that work with the case, but all in all, it went very, very smoothly. I actually like using ETA movements in builds. They're just so much better at kind of being installed with screws and things. It's just a pleasure to work with them. And now I've got this lovely Tudor Black Bay ETA, which I've always wanted, but at this moment in time I just don't have the money to have one. So even though it isn't fully a Tudor, it is partially a Tudor with the case and the dial and a few other bits. So I've actually went and put it on this, it's a copy of a Tudor bracelet. It's obviously unbranded, but it's exactly the same kind of clasp and all that, and it wears quite well. I found it does wear okay on the NATO, but I just didn't really gel with it too much. But on the bracelet it is an absolute joy to wear, and like I say, it's just got the same kind of action of the bezel as my other Tudors, and it's just spot on. I absolutely adore it. And like I say, it's not a watch I'm going to sell anyway, so it's going to be my kind of luxury beta watch, as I would call it. But yeah, it is an absolutely lovely piece. So what do you think of this watch? Do you think I did right in making a Frankinwatch of a Tudor, or do you just gonna hit me down with kind of stakes and fire because I've done something against the watch world? Please put in the comments below, and if you have liked this video, please like, subscribe, press the bell button for future notifications, and as always, keep safe, and I will see you soon.